Juliana was Queen of the Kingdom of the Netherlands between 1948 and 1980. She was the only child of Queen Wilhelmina and Prince Henry. She was married to German aristocrat Prince Bernhard of Lippe-Biesterfeld, with whom she had 4 children, Princess Beatrix, Princess Irene, Princess Margrethe, and Princess Christina. During the Second World War she lived in exile with her children in Ottawa, Canada. She became Queen of the Netherlands with her mother's abdication in 1948 and was succeeded by Queen Beatrix after her own abdication in 1980. During her reign both Indonesia and Suriname in 1975 became independent from the Netherlands. Her birthday was celebrated annually as Koninginnedag until the accession of her grandson King Willem-Alexander to the throne, when it was replaced with Koningsdag. Upon her death at the age of 94, she was the longest-lived former ruling monarch in the world. She is commemorated in space, in the name of the asteroid 816 Juliana. Early life and education. Juliana was born in The Hague on April 30, 1909, the only daughter of Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands and Duke Henry of Mecklenburg-Schwerin. She was the first Dutch royal baby since Wilhelmina herself was born in 1880. Wilhelmina had suffered 4 miscarriages and 1 stillbirth, raising the prospect that the House of Orange-Nassau would die with her. In all likelihood, this would have meant that the Dutch throne would have passed to Prince Heinrich XXXII Rus of Kahr-Paragrafstraat, who had very close ties to Germany. Juliana's birth thus assured the royal family's survival. Her mother suffered 2 further miscarriages after her birth, leaving Juliana as the royal couple's only child. Juliana spent her childhood at Het Palace in Apeldoorn, and at Noordeinde Palace and Huis ten Bosch Palace in The Hague. A small school class was formed at Noordeinde Palace on the advice of the educator Jan Luyckxart so that, from the age of 6, the princess could receive her primary education with children of her own age. These children were Baroness Elise Bentinck, Baroness Elizabeth van Hardenbroek and Jonkvrouw de Junge. As the Dutch constitution specified that Princess Juliana should be ready to succeed to the throne by the age of 18, her education proceeded at a faster pace than that of most children. After 5 years of primary education, the princess received her secondary education from private tutors. On April 30, 1927, Princess Juliana celebrated her 18th birthday. Under the constitution, she had officially come of age and was entitled to assume the royal prerogative, if necessary. 2 days later her mother installed her in the Raad van State. In the same year, the princess enrolled as a student at the University of Leiden. In her first years at university, she attended lectures in sociology, jurisprudence, economics, history of religion, parliamentary history, and constitutional law. In the course of her studies she also attended lectures on the cultures of Suriname and the Netherlands Antilles, international affairs, international law, history, and European law. She graduated from the university in 1930 with a bachelor's degree in international law. Marriage. In the 1930s, Queen Wilhelmina began a search for a suitable husband for her daughter. At the time, the House of Orange was one of the most strictly religious royal families in the world, and it was very difficult to find a Protestant prince who suited their standards. Princes from the United Kingdom and Sweden were vetted, but either declined or were rejected by the princess. At the 1936 Winter Olympics in Bavaria, she met Prince Bernhard of Lippe-Biesterfeld, a young German aristocrat. Prince Bernhard was a suave young businessman, and though not a playboy, certainly a man about town with a dashing lifestyle. But his rank and religion were suitable, and so Princess Juliana's royal engagement was arranged by her mother. Princess Juliana fell deeply in love with her fiancé Copyright, a love that was to last a lifetime and that withstood separation during the war and Bernhard's many extramarital affairs and illegitimate children. The astute Queen Wilhelmina, by then the richest woman in the world, left nothing to chance. Wilhelmina had her lawyers draw up a prenuptial agreement that specified exactly what the German-born prince could and could not do, and what money he would receive from the royal estate. The couple's engagement was announced on September 8, 1936. The wedding announcement divided a country that mistrusted Germany under Adolf Hitler. Prior to the wedding, On November 24, 1936, Prince Bernhard was granted Dutch citizenship and changed the spelling of his names from German to Dutch. They married in The Hague on January 7, 1937, the date on which Princess Juliana's grandparents, King William III and Queen Emma, had married 58 years earlier. The civil ceremony was held in The Hague Town Hall and the marriage was blessed in the Great Church, likewise in The Hague. The young couple moved into Soestdijk Palace in Baarn. Their first child, Princess Beatrix, was born on January 31, 1938, and their second, Princess Irene, on August 5, 1939. Canadian exile. On May 12, 1940, during the invasion of the Netherlands by Germany in World War II, the prince and princess were evacuated to the United Kingdom to be followed the following day by the Queen Wilhelmina and the Dutch government, who set up a government in exile. The princess remained there for a month before taking the children to Ottawa, the capital of Canada, where she resided at Stornoway in the suburb of Rockcliffe Park. Her mother and husband remained in Britain with the Dutch government in exile. When her third child, Princess Margaret, was born, the Governor-General of Canada, Alexander Cambridge, Earl of Athlone, granted royal assent to a special law declaring Princess Juliana's rooms at the Ottawa Civic Hospital as extraterritorial so that the infant would have exclusively Dutch, not dual nationality. Had these arrangements not occurred, Princess Margaret would not be in the line of succession. The Canadian government flew the Dutch tricolour flag on Parliament's Peace Tower while its carillon rang out with Dutch music at the news of Princess Margaret's birth. Prince Bernhard, who had remained in London with Queen Wilhelmina and members of the exiled Dutch government, was able to visit his family in Canada and be there for Margaret's birth. Princess Juliana's genuine warmth and the gestures of her Canadian hosts created a lasting bond which was reinforced when Canadian soldiers fought and died by the thousands in 1944 and 1945 to liberate the Netherlands from the Nazis. On May 2, 1945 she returned by a military transport plane with Queen Wilhelmina to the liberated part of the Netherlands, rushing to Breda to set up a temporary Dutch government. Once home she expressed her gratitude to Canada by sending the city of Ottawa 100,000 tulip bulbs. Princess Juliana of the Netherlands erected a wooden lectern and brass plaque which is dedicated in thanks to the St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church for their hospitality during Princess Juliana's residence in Ottawa during the Second World War. On June 24, 1945, she sailed on the RMS Queen Elizabeth from Gourock, Scotland, to the United States, listing her last permanent residence as London, England. The following year, Juliana donated another 20,500 bulbs, with the request that a portion of these be planted at the grounds of the Ottawa Civic Hospital where she had given birth to Margaret. At the same time, she promised Ottawa an annual gift of tulips during her lifetime to show her lasting appreciation for Canada's wartime hospitality. Each year Ottawa hosts the Canadian Tulip Festival in celebration of this gift. On August 2, 1945, Princess Juliana was reunited with her family on Dutch soil. Juliana immediately took part in a post-war relief operation for the people in the northern part of the country, where the Nazi-caused famine and their continued torturing and murdering of the previous winter had claimed many victims. She was very active as the president of the Dutch Red Cross and worked closely with the National Reconstruction Organization. Her down-to-earth manner endeared her to her people so much that a majority of the Dutch people would soon want Queen Wilhelmina to abdicate in favor of her daughter. In the spring of 1946 Princess Juliana and Prince Bernhard visited the countries that had helped the Netherlands during the occupation. During her pregnancy with her last child, marriage Christina, Princess Juliana contracted German measles. The girl was born in 1947 with cataracts in both eyes and was soon diagnosed as almost totally blind in one eye and severely limited in the other. Despite her blindness, Christina, as she was called, was a happy and gifted child with a talent for languages and an ear for music. Over time, and with advances in medical technology, her eyesight did improve such that with thick glasses, she could attend school and even ride a bicycle. However, before that happened, her mother, the princess, clinging to any thread that offered some hope for a cure, came under the strong influence of Greet Hofmans, a faith healer with heterodox beliefs, who was considered by her many detractors to be a sham. Reign. Wilhelmina's increasingly precarious health made it increasingly difficult for her to perform her duties. Juliana was forced to take over as regent from October 14 to December 1, 1947. Wilhelmina seriously considered abdicating in favor of Juliana at the end of 1947, but Juliana urged her mother to stay on the throne so she could celebrate her Diamond Jubilee. However, Wilhelmina was forced to relinquish her royal duties to Juliana once again on May 4, 1948. The independence of Indonesia, which saw more than 150,000 Dutch troops stationed there as decolonization force, was regarded as an economic disaster for the Netherlands. With the certain loss of the prized colony, the Queen announced her intention to abdicate, doing so on September 4, 1948. 2 days later, with the eyes of the world upon her, Juliana was inaugurated in the Nieuwe Kerk in Amsterdam, becoming the 12th member of the House of Orange to rule the Netherlands. On December 27, 1949 at Dam Palace in Amsterdam, Queen Juliana signed the papers that recognized Indonesian sovereignty over the former Dutch colony. She became Hoofd der Unie of the Netherlands-Indonesian Union. On December 15, 1954, the Queen announced that the nation's Caribbean possessions of the Netherlands, Antilles and Suriname were to be reconstituted as constituent countries of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, making them equal partners with the mainland. Her daughter's blindness and the increasing influence of Hofmans, who had moved into a royal palace, severely affected the Queen's marital relationship. Over the next few years, the controversy surrounding the faith healer, at first kept out of the Dutch media, erupted into a national debate over the competency of the Queen. However, the debate subsided in part due to Juliana's efforts to connect with her people. She often appeared in public dressed like any ordinary Dutch woman, and preferred to be addressed as Mevrouw rather than her formal title of Majesty. She also began riding a bicycle for exercise and fresh air. Although the bicycle and the down-to-earth manners suggest a simple lifestyle, the Dutch royal court of the 1950s and 1960s was still a splendid affair with chamberlains in magnificent uniforms, gilded state coaches, visits to towns in open carriages and lavish entertaining in the huge palaces. At the same time the Queen began visiting the citizens of the nearby towns and, unannounced, would drop in on social institutions and schools. Her refreshingly straightforward manner and talk made her a powerful public speaker. On the international stage, Queen Juliana was particularly interested in the problems of developing countries, the refugee problem, and had a very special interest in child welfare, particularly in the developing countries. On the night of January 31, 1953, the Netherlands was hit by the most destructive storm in more than 500 years. 30 breaches of dunes and dikes occurred and many towns were swept away by 12-foot tidal waves. More than 2,000 people drowned and tens of thousands were trapped by the flood waters. Dressed in boots and an old coat, Queen Juliana waded through water and slopped through deep mud all over the devastated areas to bring desperate people food and clothing. Showing compassion and concern, reassuring the people, her tireless efforts would permanently endear her to the citizens of the Netherlands. In 1956, the influence of Miss Hofmans on Juliana's political views almost brought down the monarchy in a constitutional crisis that caused the court and the royal family to split into a Bernhard faction set on removing a queen considered a religious fanatic and a threat to NATO, and the queen's pious and pacifist courtiers. Prime Minister Willem Drees resolved the crisis. However, Juliana lost out to her powerful husband and his friends. Hofmans was banished from the court and Juliana's supporters were sacked or pensioned. Prince Bernhard planned to divorce his wife but decided against it when he, as he told an American journalist, found out that the woman still loved him. In 1963 Queen Juliana faced another crisis among her Protestant citizens when her second daughter Irene secretly converted to Roman Catholicism and, without government approval, on April 29, 1964 married Prince Carlos Hugo of Bourbon, Duke of Parma, a claimant to the Spanish throne and also a leader in Spain's Carlist party. With memories of the Dutch struggle for independence from Roman Catholic Spain and fascist German oppression still fresh in the minds of the Dutch people, The events leading to the marriage were played out in all the newspapers and a storm of hostility erupted against the monarchy for allowing it to happen, a matter so serious that the Queen's abdication became a real possibility. She survived, however, thanks to the underlying devotion she had earned over the years. Another crisis developed as a result of the announcement in July 1965 of the engagement of Princess Beatrix, heir to the throne, to German diplomat Klaus von Amsberg. The future husband of the future queen had been a member of the Nazi Wehrmacht and the Hitler Youth movement. Many angry Dutch citizens demonstrated in the streets, and held rallies and marches against the traitorous affair. While this time there were no calls for the Queen's abdication because the true object of the people's wrath, Princess Beatrix, would then be Queen, they did start to question the value of having a monarchy at all. After attempting to have the marriage cancelled, Queen Juliana acquiesced and the marriage took place under a continued storm of protest, and an almost certain attitude pervaded the country that Princess Beatrix might be the last member of the House of Orange to ever reign in the Netherlands. Despite all these difficulties, Queen Juliana's personal popularity suffered only temporarily. The Queen was noted for her courtesy and kindness. In May 1959, for example, American ufologist George Adamski received a letter from the lady head of the Dutch Unidentified Flying Objects Society informing him that she had been contacted by Queen Juliana's palace and that the Queen would like to receive you. Adamski informed a London newspaper about the invitation, which prompted the court and cabinet to request that the Queen cancel her meeting with Adamski, but the Queen went ahead with the meeting, saying that a hostess cannot slam the door in the face of her guests. After the meeting, Dutch Aeronautical Association President Cornelis Kolff said, "The Queen showed an extraordinary interest in the whole subject." The Dutch press put it more straightforwardly. According to Time magazine, Amsterdam newspaper De Volkskrant said, "The Dutch press could hardly be accused of concealing the facts last week." Once again, Queen Juliana's weakness for the preternatural had landed her back in the headlines. She had invited to the palace a crackpot from California who numbered among his friends men from Mars, Venus and other solar system suburbs. An event in April 1967, helped by an improving Dutch economy, brought an overnight revitalization of the royal family when the first male heir to the Dutch throne in 116 years, Willem-Alexander, was born to Princess Beatrix. This time the demonstrations in the street were of love and enthusiasm. Scandal rocked the royal family again in 1976 when it was revealed that Prince Bernhard had accepted a $1.1 million bribe from U.S. aircraft manufacturer Lockheed Corporation to influence the Dutch government's purchase of fighter aircraft in what became known as the Lockheed scandal. Prime Minister Duke Den Uyl ordered an inquiry into the affair while Prince Bernhard refused to answer reporters' questions, stating, "I am above such things." Rather than calling on the Queen to abdicate, the Dutch people were this time fearful that their beloved Juliana might abdicate out of shame or because of a criminal prosecution conducted in her name against her consort. On November 25, 1975, Suriname seceded from the Dutch kingdom and became independent. Representing the Queen at the independence ceremony in the Surinamese capital, Paramaribo, were her daughter and heir presumptive, Princess Beatrix, and her husband, Prince Klaus. On August 26, 1976, a censored toned-down, but devastating report on Prince Bernhard's activities was released to a shocked Dutch public. The prince resigned his various high-profile positions as a lieutenant admiral, a general, and an inspector general of the armed forces. He resigned from his positions in the board of many businesses, charities, the World Wildlife Fund, and other institutions. The prince also accepted that he would have to give up wearing his beloved uniforms. In return, the States General accepted that there was to be no criminal prosecution. On her Silver Jubilee in 1973, Queen Juliana donated all of the money that had been raised by the National Silver Jubilee Committee to organizations for children in need throughout the world. She donated the gift from the nation which she received on her 70th birthday to the International Year of the Child. She was the 922nd Lady of the Order of the Garter in 1958. On April 30, 1980, her 71st birthday, Queen Juliana abdicated and her eldest daughter succeeded her. Juliana remained active in numerous charitable causes until well into her 80s. Illness and death. From the mid-1990s, Juliana's health declined and she also suffered the progressive onset of dementia. Juliana did not appear in public after this time. At the order of the royal family's doctors, Juliana was placed under 24-hour care. Prince Bernhard said in a television interview in 2001 that the former queen was no longer able to recognize her family and that she had been suffering from Alzheimer's disease for several years. Juliana died in her sleep on March 20, 2004, several weeks before her 95th birthday, at Soestdijk Palace in Bonn from complications of pneumonia, 70 years to the day after her grandmother, Queen Emma. She was embalmed, unlike her mother Wilhelmina, who chose not to be, and on March 30, 2004 interred beside her mother in the royal vaults under the Nieuwe Kerk in Delft. The memorial service made her ecumenical and often highly personal views on matters of religion public. The late princess, a vicar said in her sermon, was interested in all religions and in reincarnation. Juliana's husband Prince Bernhard died 8 months later aged 93, on December 1, 2004. His remains were placed next to hers. In 2009 an exhibition of portraits of Juliana, and objects from her life, was held at the Het Palace to mark the centenary of her birth. Titles, styles, honours, and arms. Titles and styles. April 30, 1909 September 4, 1948, Her Royal Highness Princess Juliana, September 4, 1948 April 30, 1980, Her Majesty the Queen, April 30, 1980 March 20, 2004, Her Royal Highness Princess Juliana. Juliana's full title and style as an unmarried woman was, Her Royal Highness Princess Juliana Louisa Emma Marie Wilhelmina of the Netherlands, Princess of Orange-Nassau, Duchess of Mecklenburg, etc. Her mother issued a decree allowing her to adopt her husband's princely title as customary, providing that it is preceded by the title she held as a member of the House of Mecklenburg. The decree became effective upon her marriage, and changed her full title and style to, Her Royal Highness Princess Juliana of the Netherlands, Princess of Orange-Nassau, Duchess of Mecklenburg, Princess of Lippe-Biesterfeld, etc. After her accession to the throne, Juliana's official title was, Her Majesty, Juliana, Queen of the Netherlands, Princess of Orange-Nassau, Duchess of Mecklenburg, Princess of Lippe-Biesterfeld, etc., etc., etc. Upon her abdication, she resumed her pre-regnal marital title and style. Coat of Arms, Honours and Awards, Dutch Honours. Foreign Honours. Issue, Ancestry. Prime Ministers during the Queen's reign. Legacy. Shortly after her birth, the inhabitants of a small village near Den Helder asked permission from Queen Wilhelmina to name their village after the young princess. They received permission and they named their village Juliana Dorp. Princess Juliana Park in Ottawa, Canada is named after her. Princess Juliana International Airport in St. Martin is named after her. References. External links, Queen Juliana at the Dutch Royal House website.